Our next presenter is Dan Robinson, and Dan is a Canadian certified professional ergonomist, consulting in ergonomics since 1988. He earned his PhD and MSc in kinesiology at Simon Fraser University. Through his company, Robinson Ergonomics Incorporated, Dan provides design among many other services aimed at enhancing productivity, usability, health, and safety. Dan has an impressive and extensive list of professional affiliates in his field. He is currently an instructor in the SFU Rehabilitation Management Diploma Program and in the Interior Design Program at Coquitlam Polytech University. Dan has a vast array of project experience that includes human factors engineering for military and medical systems, as well as a human response to design and usability, evaluation of retail environments, public libraries, laboratories, and warehouses. Dan also implements injury prevention strategies in a variety of work environments, including construction, office, laboratory, film, performing arts, food bank, and healthcare. Dan, please come up and take it away.
Thank you. Well, what is an ergonomist? I often get asked that. And the simple answer is my job, or the simple answer I often give, my job is actually watching other people work. Looking for ways to understand how to keep them safe and how to make them more effective at doing whatever it is that they do. One of the things I get a lot of enjoyment from is learning the simple, brilliant solutions that people bring to their work. Some of the things that I call the 10-cent solutions, the things that don't cost anything. Like this one, using a piece of rope to lower a bucket of sealant so that it's at the same level as the dauber. It makes his job a lot easier, a lot quicker, costs nothing. The other solutions, I'm not quite as convinced of the brilliance, particularly when it pits man against machine or man against truck. There are better solutions than trying to hold a garbage bin against a hill while a truck tries to load it. And I get to go places that most people will never have an opportunity to see, like 3 kilometers into the earth to study underground miners and the effect of 12-hour extended work days on their health and their fatigue levels. This is the elevator that connects them to the surface. They call it the cage, and it is quite a ride to the surface and to the depths. Miners had a bit of fun with this project too. This is in our underground lab, and he's actually riding an exercise bike. We're looking at the effects of physiological fatigue on this particular miner. I would venture a guess this is early in the shift. He's looking pretty perky. Military personnel drive very long hours over very rough terrain. And one of the things that happens is they end up with back injury and they end up with internal organ injury. The problem was there was no way to really understand how much they could withstand before they were injured. There was no method to assess this. So we undertook some research. We had volunteer soldiers, and they really were volunteers. The challenge here was to figure out how much repeated jolting soldiers could withstand until they got injured. And the challenge was to do this without injuring them, which we successfully did. The tape did hurt coming off their backs. The research that we did is not only useful for military, it's actually been turned into an international standard that's now used for non-military occupations. Anywhere there's earth-moving machinery or off-road vehicles that are driving, and there's lots of repeated jolts, like this D10 dozer, among other vehicles. Such as this heavy hauler. Actually, the truth is I put this in because the little boy in me still really loves the fact that I get to play with giant Tonka toys. This is about the size of a 2-story house. You can see the people in the background just barely come up to the axle on the wheels. And this is a Navy vessel called a warping tug. And the challenge here was to perform what's called a human factors engineering audit. Basically to look at what people are asked to do on this vessel and to look for what might possibly go wrong. And to do this at the design stage before you build it. And one of the things we found was that the escape hatch, the size of the red circle, is smaller than the size of the large man wearing his survival gear, which means his choice in an emergency is to strip naked and squeeze through the hole, or to wear his survival gear and stay inside. That hatch needed to be the size of the green circle. Now, this is an artificial heart that was designed to allow the patient to go home, but to allow the medical personnel to monitor and to tune the functioning of the heart remotely. Now imagine being in your living room as the patient with the new heart, and your heart speeds up or slows down, and you're not doing anything to it. It needed to consider the patient's perspective, not just the medical. The swim goggles at the bottom have a curved lens. Looks great in the showroom, but when you get into the water, curved lenses don't work very well. This actually distorted the vision to the point where swimmers would swim into the end of the pool. Illustrates the need to test designs in the environment in which they're intended to be used. The challenge here was to design a workstation that would work for software programmers to keep them effective at what they're doing for 24 continuous hours of work. The answer was no, you can't. But you can design a workstation that will keep them comfortable for as long as possible and even allow them to nap. This is the computer gaming glove. The challenge here was to design a single glove that would fit the full range of hand and arm sizes that might want to use it, and to do so in a way that prevents repetitive strain injury in a device that is designed for repetitive wrist motion. That was done very carefully. Sometimes the mission is actually to make the design fit one individual's needs. There's things that we take for granted, like being able to see who's at the front door, being able to turn a light switch on or off, or plug a cord into a power outlet, being able to get through a doorway, or cook a meal, or take a shower. Sometimes the best way to understand the design is to actually climb into it and play with it. This is a prototype of a patient lifting device that's designed at BCIT for home care workers, that they would carry from house to house and lift the clients that they were dealing with. Those slings are harder to figure out than they look. And the next time you're at the liquor store, take a look at the bag well, that angled bag well. It's designed for bagging, but it's also designed to pass a case of beer, a flat of beer, across that narrow gap in the near side. And we built full-scale mock-ups here to understand what the user's requirements were and to fully understand what those tasks were. That wasn't something we initially anticipated needing to do. This is a full-scale mock-up of a patient care room in a hospital, complete with hospital staff who were asked to simulate the tasks that they would perform with the intent of figuring out what might go wrong before we build an entire wing of identical rooms with the same design flaw in them. And yes, ergonomists do look at chairs. We adjust chairs and we move mice and keyboards and monitors. And whatever environment we're in, such as the office, what we're looking to do is to enhance safety and to improve the effectiveness of the people that do the work that they do. Thank you.